I'm going to start this off with one question for you guys. Is there a single player in the NBA that you would not trade for Luka Doncic? A single one. I thought about this the other night when that stuff kind of rumored that he may be a little disgruntled in Dallas. But like the answer to that question for me is no. And that really surprised me when I thought about it, right? But like who would I say no to? If Dallas called me and said, "Hey, we'll give you Luka for this guy," and I'm the GM of a team, I don't think I say no. And yeah, I'm including Giannis. I'm including Steph. Hell, I'm including LeBron. And am I overvaluing Luca? I don't think so. But that's kind of where I am with my thought process with Luca. Um, so before we really dive into this, I want you to think about that too. And we're gonna talk about some things that I think really show how much I value Luca as a player. Not just because of how good he is as a player, but how young he is. It's ridiculous. It's almost like a creative player in 2K. Like he's good. Um, Diving into the Mavericks, like ultimately they should do whatever they have to keep Luca. Like I hate the players shouldn't make these kind of decisions. Yeah, well players like Luca should. Okay, because guess what? If you don't do what he wants and he's not happy, he's gonna leave, and then you lose a generational talent, right? Like it's not shut up and play basketball because you're just a player and I'm a GM. It's a hey, let's work together on this, and you bring him in. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And I'm not saying I don't think the Mavericks will. I think Cuban thinks like that, right? I think he's more progressive in that idea where he wants Luca to be involved, and I think Luca will. I don't think Luca's gonna leave Dallas. I really don't see that happening. But Dallas does need to make some things happen so they don't waste Luca. Um, we'll start off with Kristaps because I think he's what people think is their biggest question. Um, in my opinion, you don't trade him, you keep him. I think he works well with Luca. His skill set fits really nicely. Um, and he's a good player. I don't think you trade Kristaps. His defense has gone down quite a bit, but Dallas doesn't care. They really don't, and Jason Kidd won't care either. Um, he needs to rebound, he needs to shoot, and he needs to space the floor for Luca. Right. Anything they get on the defensive end from Kristaps is a plus. Now he makes a pretty good chunk of change, right? But he's a good player. Um, Dallas could have close to 30-ish million in cap space this year. Um, Assuming they let Tim Hardaway Jr. walk, which they probably should. He's a good piece on the team and he can score. He can shoot. Like he's a good piece of that team, and that really depends a lot on like what he's looking for, money wise. Like I mean, if they can bring him back cheaply, then sure. Um, but this is a not great free agent class, so a lot of these kind of players like Tim Hardaway Jr. might end up being a bit overpaid. Um, just because there's not much available. Um, Boban will be gone. Redick will be gone. Again, they can clear up around 30-ish million in cap space. Especially with what's going on with Kawhi, I could see him just staying in LA this year. He really was the biggest free agent, and obviously, ideally, like you throw Kawhi on the Mavericks, they're probably pretty damn close to an instant title contender, in my opinion. Like with Kawhi, Kristaps, and Luka, like they're pretty close to the finals favorite there, at least to make the finals. But it would take, and it's possible, but it would take a little bit to find the cap space to sign Kawhi. And B, it's not even guaranteed that he'll want out of LA. especially with his injury. But if he is available, they should do everything they can to bring Kawhi in, because again, you bring Kawhi in, that is an instant title contender in Dallas. But more realistically, right? Who do we got in free agency this year? Lowry, DeRozan, Chris Paul, probably Mike Conley, Oladipo, John Collins, like Lonzo. Like there's some solid players, right? I don't think there's anybody that is anywhere near Luka's level. Again, aside from Kawhi, but there's some solid players. Now, the issue is next free agency class next year is absolutely loaded, right? So Dallas needs to decide if they want to go all in on somebody like DeRozan, who is probably the best free agent available aside from Kawhi, right? He'll bring in 25 points a game. He's a good distributor. The problem with DeRozan is he can't shoot. He can't space the floor. He shoots 30% from the three. Like he can't shoot from three at least. He can shoot from like he's a pretty decent shooter from everywhere else, but he can't space the floor for Luka. But he can take some playmaking off of Luka. Like he would be probably the best piece for them to add. Um, but I don't know if adding DeRozan makes him a finals contender immediately. It makes him definitely better. Because again, like they don't care about DeRozan's weaknesses. Like DeRozan is not a great defender. Dallas doesn't care. They don't. Their whole idea is just to outscore everybody, right? So like DeRozan would be a good fit for them. Conley and Lowry, like, and Chris Paul, put him in there as well. I I don't want the ball out of Luka's hands, right? And I feel like Conley and Lowry both do that. Um, I'm sure because they're both good enough players that they could work well enough off ball, but like then you're taking away from what they really are. Like Lowry would give you a solid leader, and if you could convince Lowry because he is older to maybe take a shorter contract, um, that way you could possibly have some options next year when a bigger free agency class comes in. Then sure, but again, I don't know how I feel about taking the ball out of Luka's hands. Um, so like, who else do you really have? Right, you have some restricted free agents. Um, John Collins is up there. I like Collins a lot. I did another video about John Collins. I think he is a fantastic leader in the locker room. He is a good defender. He's a good rebounder. He is insanely athletic. Um, like I like Collins a lot in Dallas. Um, Depends on how much he's asking for. You're gonna have to give him a longer term deal. I'd hope the Hawks don't match it. But I like Collins. Like overall, Collins is probably my favorite free agent target for Dallas this year. Again, he adds a lot of what they need. He can run with Luka. He can spot up, shoot. He can help Kristaps with defense. Like he is a solid player. Um, Now the thing with John Collins is obviously he had those run-ins with Trey earlier in the season. He downplayed him, but like, does Collins want to have a bigger role in offense? He would absolutely be the third option here behind Kristaps and Luka. So like, does he really want to accept that role? Um, his numbers would probably go down, I would assume, again, because there's just going to be less chances. Now, Trey shoots a lot, but like, honestly, Collins is pretty close to the second option on that team, on that Hawks team. He would be a solid third option here in Dallas. And again, it depends on what he's wanting. Um, Somebody else I like is Spencer Dinwiddie. He's looking for around $25 million a year, but Dinwiddie can score. He's big, he's athletic, he can shoot. Um, like he would be a good option. Um, I- but again, like these are players that, yes, they make Dallas a better team, but are they title contenders with these guys? Maybe. I mean, if you asked me last year, does Chris Paul make the Suns a finals contender? No, is the answer from like 99% of people. So I could very well be wrong. But I mean, I like Dinwiddie. I don't know. I could see Dallas making a move like bringing in Danny Green. I mean, they've tried to sign Danny Green multiple times, and he's went elsewhere multiple times. But depending on what he's looking for money wise. Like he might be a decent option to add. He can help Luca. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think this may be a year where Dallas just adds a small piece like Danny Green on a 1 year contract and a couple other, 1 or 2 year contracts for cheap, and then probably, be the best offense in the NBA again and finish sixth or fifth seed and lose in the first or second round, and then just, kind of eat it for another year. And then next year, that is a stacked free agency class, right? So I think ideally for Dallas, if Kawhi becomes available, you shoot your shot, right? Like he shoots your shot right there. If he doesn't, I I think you sign a smaller free agent, right? Danny Green, Josh Hart, like players like that you can get on a small contract or just a 1 or 2 year deal. Um, and then next year you go for it, right? Like you need to win to keep Luka. Um, you do, and it's as simple as that. He's a generational talent. They should absolutely uh, go all in to make him happy and keep him there. One quick thing on Jason Kidd. I know some people don't like this hire. I'm indifferent about it. I thought that I liked it at first, and then I thought that I didn't like it, and then I really read into it, and I think it'll work fine. Like I mean, look what he did in um in Milwaukee, right? Like he made some bad decisions, but that was just his first time, like really you know making those decisions. So I'm sure that he's learned, but where he's going to help is ball movement, um, like transition, and then in offense. He doesn't help them defensively whatsoever. The Dallas Mavericks are not going to be good defensively again this year, but their offense could definitely be better. But yeah, that's just some thoughts on the Mavericks. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm interested as to your guys' take on the first question I asked y'all. Do you trade? Is there anybody that you wouldn't trade for Luca? I'm curious. And if there are any moves that I missed, or anybody you think you guys should go after, Dallas Mavericks fans, let me know in the comments and we'll talk about it. Thanks for stopping in, guys. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day.